All right, guys, it's about time we talked about Oprah's rumored involvement in the Maui fires. I mean, the lives lost, the history gone. If this was done on purpose, someone needs to be held accountable. Now, I gotta say, guys, like what I've been reading about the Maui fires, the behind the scenes of it all, it'll leave you either raising your eyebrow or pointing your finger. So first, there was this viral tweet about Oprah Winfrey buying up land in Maui. Let's go ahead and read it now. So Oprah Winfrey has been buying up land in Maui like crazy. 520-acre plot for $3.89 million in 2023, 330 acres for $2.47 million in 2023, two 10-acre swaths of land for $100,000 each in 2022. In the last few years, she has gone from about 100 acres of land in Maui to over 1,000 acres. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a fire comes and destroys many homes near her, but her land remains untouched. Sound familiar? In 2017, an extremely deadly fire destroyed many homes near Oprah's Montecito mansion, but her property remained untouched. After 2017, Oprah continued expanding her land in Montecito to over 70 acres, including buying a 4-acre complex in 2019 that was destroyed by mudslides only a few weeks after that 2017 fire. Wake up. Now, the post has since gone viral, receiving over 12 million views, almost 70,000 likes, and 25,000 reposts. No wonder Oprah has pretty much been one of the top trending topics on Twitter this week. So I heard from a friend of mine from Maui, their big questions are, first, how did a fire move south to north when 80-mile-per-hour winds were moving east to west? And second, why did the island-wide advanced alarm system not go off so people, especially children who were home alone due to school closures, so that they could escape? It's true that Oprah owns property in Maui. The former talk show host currently owns 2,000 acres of land on Maui, including 897 acres of agricultural land purchased earlier this year for $6.6 million. And yeah, all her land was basically untouched by the wildfires. She was spotted supporting survivors at an emergency shelter at Wailuku's War Memorial Complex, where a CBS News crew filmed her handing out supplies. But then she was slammed for attempting to bring cameras inside of the evacuation center. The CBS News crew was denied entry by staff members, but Oprah later returned alone to help out. And in an Instagram post earlier this week, Oprah Winfrey, she promised to make a major donation to help the island recover from the damage it suffered last week. Now, of course, online critics had their say about the whole thing. Stuff like, maybe at Oprah, you should give back the 870 acres she purchased in Maui in March of this year for $6.6 million to the native Hawaiian. They also pointed out how Oprah's property is 1,000 acres, just a little bit less than the 1,600 acres of Lahaina affected by the wildfires. She could theoretically give up only half of her acreage and provide housing for probably all the displaced residents. There's a simple solution, but of course, I'm not trying to tell her how to spend her money. They also said the land Oprah bought was illegally sold because it was illegally occupied. So giving back the land is the right thing to restore justice. Now, some other celebrities who received some flack over Maui: Fleetwood Mac singer Stevie Nicks and socialite Paris Hilton. Now, apparently Stevie Nicks mentioned her niece's Maui vacation being ruined by the wildfires and how most of the opals that she wears on her fingers came from there. Online commenters, they didn't like that at all. For one, native Hawaiians, they lost their homes for generations to come, while her niece, at best, her vacation was ruined. Aww. Not to mention, admitting to colonizing an island, Paris Hilton was photographed over the weekend smiling on a Maui beach alongside her husband, Carter Room, and their 8-month-old son, just 30 miles from where 106 have been found dead and 1,300 more are still unaccounted for in Lahaina. And so basically Hilton is vacationing in Maui at a resort 30 minutes from Lahaina. Now just imagine watching thousands of people lose their homes, loved ones, families, etc., and then expecting them to serve you drinks while you frolic on the beach in front of them. Right now, Hawaiian TikTokers are urging tourists not to visit Maui following the devastating wildfires. The creators are saying that resources on the island need to be reserved for local people. So tourists are currently in Maui being accused of insensitive behavior toward local people. The same guy who tweeted about Oprah also said that locals in Maui have been refusing to sell their land to the elites. You see, the part of the island mainly destroyed by the fires was prime area right next to lavish mega mansions. And so now they're probably going to be forced to have to sell some of their land. Some are calling this one big massive land grab, and some famous people's real estate that were untouched by Maui's wildfires Oprah Winfrey's luxury mansion, Jeff Bezos' luxury mansion, Lady Gaga's luxury mansion, Bill Gates' luxury mansion, Morgan Freeman's luxury mansion, Will Smith's luxury mansion, Julia Roberts' luxury mansion. Now, there's lots of theories circulating right now about what actually happened in Maui. Now, some say that it could have been people with government ties. Some say it's a land grab by the wealthy. Whichever way it happens to turn out, I definitely recommend staying up to date. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and tap that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any of my future updates, the latest news and developments on this story, and pretty much anything else that's happening in America. And if you guys appreciate the information that we're sharing, I definitely thank you so much for showing your support by hitting that like button. I appreciate that. Now, if you talk to Miami locals, most of them are saying the same thing: overdevelopment. Developers are trying to take the land of regular Maui residents and trying to get away with below asking price. Then they turn it around by building multi-million-dollar hotels. So this fire may have been way too convenient, I just gotta say. And did you catch President Biden's no comment about the whole thing? Here, check this out.
Making it the deadliest wildfire in modern United States history. Officials say 1,000 people are still missing. President Joe Biden was asked about the devastation while near his beach home in Delaware. He had this to say. Let's watch.
President, any comments on the rising death toll in Maui?
Will you come talk about the Hawaii response, Mr. President?
Biden's comments outraged some on the internet. Monica Crowley, a former Trump Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at the Treasury, tweeted, "Biden doesn't give an F about the suffering people of Maui, or the suffering people of East Palestine, Ohio, or the suffering people in border towns, or the suffering of people anywhere in America." Last week, Biden declared a major disaster on Maui, pledging that the federal response will ensure that, quote, anyone who's lost a loved one or whose home has been damaged or destroyed is going to get help immediately.
So far, I'm not really impressed by President Biden's response or lack thereof with regard to the Maui fires. And that smile in the clip was definitely unsettling. He's set to visit Maui pretty soon, but so far, survivors of the Maui fire that killed at least 111 people and nearly leveled the town of Lahaina are criticizing the emergency response for being inadequate. Hawaii Governor Josh Green told CNN that there were probably still over 1,000 people still unaccounted for. Republicans have pounced. Former President Donald Trump, who himself was attacked for the way that he handled several disasters, including the Hurricane Maria, which hit Puerto Rico in 2017, he released a video saying how President Biden's smiling was absolutely horrible and completely unacceptable. After that no comment, President Biden has spoken about the situation on several occasions in public appearances and on TV. But he has not delivered the defining speech on this moment. When disasters strike, presidents need to tackle the situation on at least 3 different fronts. Federal support for the local response is first and foremost, which Biden has been working on. Broader public policy decisions, whether that's addressing climate change or FEMA's shortfalls, are also something that people need to see. Now, without the first 2 elements, presidents are only putting band-aids on whatever went wrong. But the third part, which is the public-facing response, whether it be meeting with survivors, surveying the damage, or making speeches and formal statements, this matters as well. And so basically, the American public, they want to see a president who can lead the nation through a crisis. They're looking for elected officials who can stay in control even in the middle of chaos and prioritize helping those who need it. They look for presidents who can address the nation with the kind of presence that President Ronald Reagan had after the Space Shuttle Challenger crashed in 1986. You guys remember that, right? He helped the nation mourn when he gave one of his most moving speeches on television, saying things like, touching the face of God. Not to mention, President Biden hasn't launched the Maui fire investigation. The Biden administration has promised billions of dollars to help Hawaii recover from its deadly wildfires this month, but not a single federal investigation went into what went wrong. Some questions still on people's minds, like why the island's siren system wasn't used to cue evacuations, how water lines ran dry in fighting the fire, and whether the White House was quick enough in deploying federal help. Now, a handful of lawmakers from both parties have already proposed creating a federal team to really look into the causes and handling of natural disasters. They see an opening for potential movement on their ideas as Congress reviews President Biden's request for $12 billion in extra cash to help FEMA respond to the Maui fire and other disasters. The White House passed a version of their disaster investigation plan that Representative Nancy Mace backed during the last Congress, but it stalled in the Senate last summer. The new bill would give the board subpoena power to dig into deficiencies in response, including some that were alleged during the Maui fires that killed more than 100 people. So really, what went wrong in Maui? The Justice Department announced that a specialist national response team from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives ATF has been tasked with officially investigating the cause of the blaze that reduced the historic coastal town of Lahaina to ash. The feds will likely have plenty to look at: allegations of careless electrical company bosses, harried fire crews, and thoughtless emergency warning leaders. So really, the Maui people say that there was no warning. Instead, locals said that they only avoided perishing thanks to luck and warnings from caring neighbors. Maui's emergency management agency chief Herman Aneda, he defended his decision not to activate the siren, saying that he was scared that it would be mistaken for a tsunami warning, sending people racing to higher ground. Just a day later, Aneda stepped down amid the intense backlash and blamed health reasons. Hawaii's main power supplier is already subject to a class action lawsuit for failing to shut off the island's power grid even with the troubling weather conditions. Apparently, there is credible evidence captured on video that at least one of the power line's ignition sources occurred when trees fell into a Hawaiian electric power line. The old power lines were supposed to be replaced back in 2019, but the company pushed back the work, Watts alleged. There were also records of dozens of sparking power lines in areas where fires likely started and around the times the wildfires supposedly began. The same earlier, caught on camera, fire also led to angry criticism of fire crews who were accused of leaving it to restart hours later. Maui's fire department tackled the brush fire from around 6:37 a.m. that Tuesday, declaring it 100% contained by 9 a.m. and leaving it early that afternoon. Instead, it restarted and spread uncontrollably from 3:30 p.m. according to locals that were understandably outraged by this whole thing here. There was also a state official who initially refused to release water to West Maui landowners until it was too late. Plus, invasive, highly flammable plant species that have made a home on Maui for the last several years. When irrigated, pineapple and sugarcane crops declined. Non-native, fire-prone grasses moved in. One of the most out there theories is that the fires were caused by some kind of secret energy weapon. Basically, it was a whole mess of factors and crazy conspiracies like this secret energy weapon that aren't helping. Hopefully we can get a better response from Biden and the government pretty soon. Am I right, guys?